What?
Good morning, everybody. Are we ready out there, Miss Jody? It's 10:02.
Let's look. Thanks. Hang on. Oh, the mouse is being weird. Okay, I think we're good. Yeah.
All right, good morning, everybody. Still 10:02. Like to open today's meeting of Tuesday, June the 20th. Call to order. We got any citizens or some comments out there from the public? We have no public in the building present. Space.
That we've got a few online, but I don't see any comments.
Okay, we don't see any comments. Let's move on to the consent agenda. Approve the minutes of May the 16th, our regular meeting, and receive the harbor and accept harbor master's inspection.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no nays. We are missing a couple of members this morning. For work is not here. Ms. Sue said she's trying to be here. She's probably let me move this place. Move on. Move on to the receive the financial report. Agenda item 3, the sheriff report, county revenue and expenditure, balance sheet, property and tax distribution, profit and loss, and tax report. Let's do playing if you'll get started, please. Sure.
Starting on page 21, you'll have your tariff reports. Y'all have a few minutes to review if you didn't already look at them in your packets.
We'll put the fertilizer is floating in there pretty heavy. Yeah. What's the word?
Bookmark is not far behind, so I'm very.
Yeah.
I feel like it's down about 50%.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The account aging report follows the tariff report. That's on page 35. And I believe we did slot in the other report that has names on it, but the report that was included in your packet is on page 35. There's various notes at the bottom regarding staff's efforts to make collections on any of the past due amounts.
So that's the nation games on that 2013 09. They were moving out or something, you told us. It's like
Oh, no.
$600.
Yeah, we've taken a different route. You know, that's the one where the guy died and the daughter was gonna take it over. Well, we started looking a little bit further into it. That boat is still in the previous owner's name.
Oh,
So we have sent them a register letter. They have contacted us back and I think they're probably gonna take the boat back.
well, the boat is certainly a good boat. It's well worth it.
So anyway, I think what will happen, or at least what I'm hoping is gonna happen, they'll come in, they'll pay the dockage fee and take it back over and sell it or whatever. So we're kind of in a different direction with it now. It looks like it probably don't work out.
Okay, following is your payment report. It just kind of gives you a little detail about all the accounts payable checks that were coded to the Port and Harbor Fund over the last month. That starts on page 36.
All of the fund lines on Harbor revenue. What's that back? It's the lawn. Is that right there? Yeah.
They're what?
Or the ones on the or the ones up on
Now the ones back, it's the,
the fence
yes,
toward the highway.
Yeah.
I think, Jody, that, those actually would belong to, those would be the responsibility of the tenant of the property. And I think McQuaid's had those. I'm not sure. Remember you had kind of talked to me about it.
The ones all along the public dock.
No,
I mean,
not those, the ones on the highway side.
Yeah,
Remember?
back closer to the road.
Those are something that the tenant would have.
Anything.
Yeah. Would
They
have.
told me they're gonna take it down. Okay, once they move it.
They won't come back.
Oh, and so he said, "Kind of hold on." Next side, if we want to keep them, he said, somebody, they're not getting paid.
Right.
Right.
He said, somebody has to step up and get paid.
Are they a safety requirement?
No, no, that's from.
Y'all, I'm not familiar with.
They shine into track 3.
I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So if Encore doesn't need them
By encores,
Yes.
fence in yard stuff.
on the highway,
And the safety, security, that's something that we need.
those lights only, shine on track 3. Now, we're not talking about the ones on the public dock, because those are ours. And that's what these floodlight, We're paying for
Jim, drive by there early in the morning or late at night and see if it's something they want to be interested in keeping. Those dark.
I thought somebody, you didn't ever contact Mark Slider about those lines?
I did, but I don't think they ever responded or said anything. So
Well, that would be the thing. is
I can reach them out to them again.
Protect their property. And you pay something down. Fortunately, I expected you not. I asked them about. Said not get paid.
Well, I can call them and ask them if they want.
Yeah, I was assuming they would be there.
Is it 2 or 3? I don't.
I thought there were 3.
3.
Yeah, there's several on the highway. Yeah.
Well, they put up these LEDs, they don't have the 200-watt LEDs right now. They don't have the big ones, that those 1,000-watt.
Right. Yes.
If they don't have the big ones, they still can't get them, so. I would talk to them. If they want to have it done, it's probably about $400 a month.
I'm sure.
Well, maybe that's about $30.
If you're telling us LEDs, I thought about 150.
Yeah.
But
But you might visit with more.
Well, yeah, that's.
Okay. Page 39 begins your revenue and expenditure report. And again, this is what we budget for every year. So it provides the original budget, any amendments, and then what you have done during the current period, your year-to-date actual, and how you are doing, the comparison on how you are doing to your budget. You're at about May 31st is about 66.6% of the fiscal year passed. And your user fees, service charges are right at just a little bit below the 66.6% mark. But a lot of that's timing, and you've got a few receivables out there. Your big change where you're at 264% of revenue that we had projected is your interest income is driving that. So we budgeted very conservatively, didn't expect the interest environment to explode like it has. So you've got about $9,000 in interest income that you have earned off of your investments. That's kind of driving that. So, and obviously it's gonna continue. So, so that's a good positive there. And then if you look overall on so your revenues for year to date, what we had budgeted are $484,050. So that's your actuals, I'm sorry, year to date. And then your expenditures year to date are $430,000, $431,170. So your revenues versus your expenditures, you're in a positive state by 53,000. So that's great. Yeah, I mean, that's where you should be trending, and you're doing well at 8 months into the fiscal year. So.
Over to the right of that, underneath the total encumbrance, it's got 48,000.
Mhm.
Is that going to be the nautical building, Jeff, or Sue?
Yeah, so you'll see, yeah, so your encumbrances, we have them listed out for you over on page 58 in your packet. Your current encumbrances are listed there in a little bit detail. So you've got harbor of refuge, restoration, planning services, waterfront, structural and electrical improvements at nautical landing, and then the breakwater engineer.
So we're actually really close to our overage here. We've got 53 and we've got 48 of them encumbered.
Yeah, you're doing fine. I mean, because all of those are budgeted. So your expenditures year to date are only 23% of the budget that we had actually budgeted for you. So yeah, you are. Yes. And that's what we're wanting to do. So that's what we projected for you to do, and your expenditures are tracking accordingly.
We would then move on to the balance sheet, please.
Sure. Very good. That's on page 49. And again, this is just the commissioners were just curious about what your cash balances are. So we're providing you with the balance sheet figures just mainly for totaling up what the available cash is. So your cash and investments in the main operating fund for the port and harbors is 601,000. If y'all want to move on to the page 54, where it has y'all's snapshot report, that again is a custom report that y'all asked for. So we provide that every month. And again, on the final page of that, we just looked at it briefly a few minutes ago, but page 58 kind of gives you another summary of your the available cash, your encumbrances, and some various different items.
Looks good, Miss Sue. Thank you so much for the presentation this morning. You're welcome. Let's move on to agenda. Status. Renovation around the land, moving a breakwater.
In your packet is a copy of an email Matt received last week or the week before. On the status of where Parks and Wildlife is with final review. Matt, do you want to give any further update? Can you hear me? It says he's here.
Did he personally go look at the manatees in our harbor?
I don't know. I mean, that's where we're at. Yeah. But he did email me yesterday or maybe sorry, it's Monday. He has reached out to Parks and Wildlife as suggested in here. But I don't think he's received anything back. Matt, are you on? He's on, but he's not. He is muted, but he may have had to step away or something. Anyway, when I did talk to him last, he thought we were looking at least another month, but we've heard that before. So but it is closer. We don't have any manatee, so that shouldn't be an issue.
Jody, did you need me?
Oh yeah, I was just if you wanted to give any further update. I know you said you had reached out to Parks and Wildlife.
I got a response yet this morning that basically that manatee, I can read it to you. There's no year-round population of manatees and a sighting would be rare. So I've got the statement I need for them to keep this ball moving. It just moves really slow.
You think that's the last oddball thing they're going to need?
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Item B, CDB, manatee coastal resilience project restoration, Ms. Jody.
We don't have any further update on the CDBG mitigation coastal resiliency. We haven't had last month we had a meeting with an update. We haven't had another status meeting with a project update yet. So there's really no change on that. They're working on the final everything that they need to the next step. Once we put everything together is to make application for the core permit. And I did reach out trying to get a status on the restore project and I haven't got a response. We're still waiting on the contract there.
Move on to agenda item C, discuss property values and valuations. We got a report back about here on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we received, I mean, we had the what?
A little farmer, the first report that we got from them.
Well, we've got the Harbor Refuge April update and the on the Harbor Refuge and the May update on the City Harbor. Those are the two updates we've got. I did just with those updates, I did update the spreadsheet that I handed out a while back. And just kind of compared to what's the same information months ago. I just updated it with a few things that did change. So you guys can look through it. I mean. Again, this is on the Harbor Refuge and City Harbor. And then the ones on Nautical Landings, there wasn't any updates on that. So that's the same thing that I presented last time. But I don't know. I mean, if there's specific things we're still looking at, if we want to try to, identify that, put a list and maybe, or have another special meeting with him or select a committee to then try to meet with him to ask specific questions.
All of the board members should review all this. Then I would ask you, David, if you don't mind, sir, I'm gonna put you as an agenda item in the future. Give us a temporary file and an update on where we are on our project, so they don't follow the radar. So, and our next, hopefully we go through this, we'll have some discussion, additions, subtractions, and solidify this like we did. It took us 5 meetings to get our leases together. Let's look at this and see if we're happy with it.
Yeah, everybody's got a copy of the reports, right? Or have access to them.
And the council approved our standings, both on the sheriffs and these charges. So if you would, you all the time that you don't mind, sir.
Now, one thing one thing I did on this is just, to look at how Valbridge should look at this, as I looked at the Helena lease, where they've got it broken down. They had it broken down into the land, the bulkhead, and the improvements. So I just looked at only the bulkhead, and to see how that worked out as far as, comparing it to our dock lease. And if I looked at just the value he had for the bulkhead, the monthly rental rate turned out to be $7.10 per linear foot. We're charging $3.30 right now. So we might be looking at an increase there. Certainly not doubling it. I think the market wouldn't necessarily bear that right now, but just for comparison, that's what his numbers showed.
But it does demonstrate an incremental increase is necessary.
Yes.
Which is what I'm asking, y'all to review all this, and at our next meeting, we'll make it an agenda item to discuss it and get it ready for presentation of council. And at the same time, I will create another monthly agenda item, Mr. Butler, to do a ticker file to go back and follow up on the stuff that we talked about and make sure we're moving forward with it. So it didn't get lost.
One of the things I'd like to see is what we're charging now.
Sorry. Sir.
It's
I'd like to see what we're charging.
actually I have that, and I guess I didn't bring it, but it and it's on.
Making decisions, I'd like to see what we're charging now.
Yeah.
versus what- Right.
And we all know that is available on the website. You just go to www.portlavaca.org, go to codes, and it's the rate table with the bottom list of Muni code. And
Valuation.
but I think you were talking about the dock rents and stuff.
Total bill to each of our customers. What is the total bill?
Okay.
Today, what's the total bill we're recommending? Because that's what they're gonna worry about. We can break it down anyway we want to, but they're gonna want to know what they're paying us now and what they're paying us.
If you bring that information with
Yeah.
you, or, you can surely call Jody with any question in preparation for this, because this is our revenue stream, and we need to be on top of it
I agree.
and keep a close eye on it.
So Cody, the middle 3 columns, does that reflect the actual?
Yeah, whatever was in the middle is what we're getting now. Yes. And some of that, I mean, you remember, like, with Helena, I mean, their current lease doesn't expire until I'm 80 years old. So we're not gonna we're not gonna change their lease amount, but, so, all we've got, dock rent rates, the rail, those type of things. And I think, several of these, I can also put on there when the leases are up. But yeah, I had a copy of the rate structure and I guess I left it on my desk because I don't see it.
Like,
Well, we're wow. That's what they discovered about where I came in about this concept.
and
So the question is, what do we want, they adjust it at all?
I'm supposed to adjust them, I just don't want to go. For the 70.
Right, well, like-
5 to 49.
like for-
That seems like that's not.
We have leases in place, we have been able to maneuver, but we're certainly not.
Well, like for example, right now we're at $3.30 per linear foot for the docking charge. So a 6% would take us to $3.50.
Right.
And I know, and I'd had some other comparisons, I think, some up and down the coast were, up to close to 4, but then there's some that are less than ours too. So,
We had the gentleman from Rockport come in here and make a presentation. And it opened our eyes that we were just way undervalued. That's why we spent the $25,000, even though the report was a little weak. I think with some continued work, we can get us to a reasonable level to where we can recoup our $25,000 investment to find out that we were way too cheap. Let's move on, please. Agenda item D, review our capital plan and get input from the commissioners. I have not yet looked at that, but if you'll discuss it,
My pleasure. So I'm going to be jumping around various pages because my brain works a little bit different than how I think it was put in your packet. So, on, well, I know, I'm sorry. Page 63, and I just want to give you all an overview just so that you're aware and kind of understand how the budget process works for the city and just so that you have just a little bit of a familiarity. So on page 63 is the memorandum for the budget kickoff. And every year in May, we have a meeting with all of the department heads and do a kickoff meeting, give them their instructions, give them a little bit of, our crystal balling for what we think is going to happen in the future with the city, and ask them to, and obviously a lot of these department heads, well, I say these, all of our department heads typically budget all year long. Things come up, projects come up, and things happen. And so they're gathering information all year long. So the budget process, isn't just a static thing. So they've been gathering these projects or ideas all year long. This is the time that it's, let's put them on paper and let's get them presented in. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of background. This is the memo that we provided to the department heads this year at budget kickoff. Page 70. So with the memo, we always also provide them with a copy of our comprehensive plan, goals and objectives. We always want our department heads to be very cognizant of what city council has put in place and keep on track and try to have any of our requests that we make. They need to be tied to what are our goals, what are our plans and our objectives. So the department heads are already also provided with that information to keep that ever cognizant in their minds. Page 61. That is the mission, the goals and objectives for each of the departments that were provided to them, that were written in stone with the budget process last year. We give each of their department heads what their goals and objectives were last year and ask them to update those. And that's where I think your input comes into place as well. This is where, Jim has things in mind and Jody does for this, but if you guys have any thoughts in mind, this is where you can maybe provide some input and try to, shape things and help out and put those in stone. And if you look on page 62, there are the objectives that were for the current year. Last year, we've kind of changed the dates. So if you think about it, what's showing in 22, 24, those, and they're highlighted because those are actually the 23, their objectives that they were wanting to achieve with that budget process. And then the accomplishments were what they did the previous fiscal year. So obviously this year, we're going to be listing new accomplishments that took place in the Port and Harbor Fund, but we also want to map out what are our plans and objectives for the coming fiscal year. And again, that's where you guys can lend some input and let Jim know what you're thinking about. Page, I don't think there's a spreadsheet that looks like this. And this is just this is basically the department head's plan of action. And that's in their packet. But I do want to point you to pages 67 and 68 and 69. These pages are for additional requests if there are projects that are going on or that we've thought about. And feel free, if you have a project that you think that should be addressed, by all means, you don't have to fill out all of this in detail, and it's up to staff to try to help you come up with an estimate. But if there is a project that you feel very passionately about, please feel free to fill that in, give a description, and then give it to Jim so that he can get that in his budget request packet. And with that, there is a page here that's 11 by 17. This is last year's your capital improvements from last year. This is what the 5-year capital improvement plan City Council approved and adopted. This is a fluid document, and it's not, obviously the projects that were funded. So if we look at the 22-23 column, and if there are dollar amounts in that column, that means that City Council funded those projects for you. And those projects should carry over onto your budget. So that's where that's coming from. Now, the years that are going forward, those are just, staff's best estimate on when we think those projects are going to fall into for the next 5 years, and then obviously beyond. We're looking again for the commission's input into those projects. What is your priority? What do you think, should be done? But these are the existing projects that are already on the radar for, the ports and harbors. And so I just want you to realize that, if you're thinking of a project that you don't think is being addressed or staff hasn't thought about or is not in the works, and if it's not on here, then that's something that, on page 68 or page 67, that's the form that we need to have filled out, and y'all identify that project. If that's something that y'all think is, yes, sir.
But what about the over?
Yeah, that's not even on here. That was kind of we did put money in the budget for some repair and maintenance to that culvert. But no, that wasn't even on the radar. So again, this is just a tool. This is a fluid document. It's not necessarily written in stone. So anything like that comes up, obviously we had some money that was in the budget for some repairs to the railroad that we're able to fund the engineering for. But then we're going to have to go to city council and have them fund maybe out of the general fund in order to fund that replacement. So, so things happen, again, this is just a budget document. We try to put and identify projects on here and keep track of them. And I will tell you that in years past, we hadn't been really identifying in stone the projects that were needed, because I think there was maybe a not necessarily a mindset, but anyway, but because we thought we didn't have the money, or we were afraid, we couldn't afford it per se, they weren't putting these ideas in stone. Well, if we all put them on paper and have them identified, we don't know that these things are coming up. So, and it's our responsibility to try to track these, and then city council, we can go to city council with ideas on how to fund these, whether we have to issue bonds, whether we, just whatever financing sources we think, depending upon the priority. So this is again a time that I'd like to solicit, or we are soliciting, the commission's input into these projects as we move into the budget season.
Very brought that up a moment ago, and I made myself a note on page 62 in that 23-24. We do not have, and that's a major expense for both the city and the commission, is that railroad culvert replacement. But should be annotated in there, because that's going to be a big change. And it's got the quarterly inspections, but it does not have the culverts replacements there.
Council just approved that task order 33, for that. That's working
I
on.
just noticed it wasn't though, she's talking about it.
Yeah, because this
is last year. He hasn't turned it in yet.
Right.
We don't
This is
really know
last-
the number where we're gonna be at.
Right, and this is just last year's CIP, and just so you can put on your calendar if interested, I mean, the council,
Last year's objectives in.
this
Yes.
is, right, this is just what we had last year, letting you know that what we're working on, that we've got our workshop with council is until July 24th.
So again, let me just kind of explain. We rolled the numbers forward on this, okay? And all the department heads, if you read the instruction packet, which I know you haven't, so I know it's confusing. But we just rolled these numbers forward. These are just last year's budget, fiscal year 23 objectives, okay? And these are essentially fiscal year 22's accomplishments. So the reason why they're highlighted in yellow, I'm giving you an exact copy of what the department heads were given at budget kickoff.
And this is,
Make
yeah,
any changes.
and this is an opportunity for you guys to help Jim and I think of things we may not have thought of to try to get in our CIP. Whether it's next year, 5 years down the road, or 10 years down the road,
Support commission prepares capital improvement project, but the change in administration, it was kind of usurped. So it's new for, I think, everyone here, except for maybe one or two members.
And we're not asking you to prepare it, we're just
Yeah.
asking for your input. So that, that we can.
We can
get
take
your
things-
Concerns on paper, so that can all be presented to city council. With the normal budget process. You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Sue.
Thanks for bringing up the railroad.
Well, I think.
We haven't forgot about it. It's- Urban engineering is working on it.
All right, let's move forward then. Agenda item 5, receive status report on the project. Agenda item A is DECQ inspection of track 17 and 17A. Jody?
Well, I think I presented this last month, but didn't have a written report. So I've given you for your information a copy of the notice of compliance that we received from TCQ that essentially closes out that alleged violation that we had on that regard as a result of that TCQ inspection last June. And so again, the alleged violation is resolved. But again, our next steps are to follow through with the voluntary restoration project that we have received approval on. The intent is to do this project, hopefully using CDBG mitigation round 2 funds. We're still looking at timing on that. Nothing's been set in stone yet. Our best estimate of how that's going to go that I'm aware of at this time is that applications for projects will be due in December. It could be later. We just don't know. Again, we're going to be allocated approximately $9.1 million. From all indications, this project would be eligible for using those funds, but we still would have to make application for it. I plan to submit some sort of a status report to TCQ here soon, kind of let them know what our intention is, because clearly using these CDBG mitigation funds is going to delay the project, because anytime you're using grant funds, it takes longer. I'm optimistic that they're okay with that as long as I keep in touch with them and we keep the shoreline clean, which may require us going out there occasionally and picking up trash if there's any out there. But that's kind of where we're at right now. I had talked to Matt, and he had thought that, if we were just to go out and do this with our own funds, we're talking probably $300,000 plus, and in addition to engineering inspection costs. So right now I was planning on just holding off and trying to see if we can use these CDBG mitigation funds for this project. So that's kind of where we're at.
The fix on this, but it was stand any kind of storm whatsoever.
Do what?
Fix for this, but it would stand any storm.
The voluntary restoration project, that is what that's going to do is just cut the slope back and seed it or whatever. We've made application to GLO for a CAPRA grant that would then put an articulated mat on top of that. And then when you say any storm, I mean, I can't say, but with the articulated mat, that certainly is going to protect it from most things. Well, with CAPRA, I mean, we're looking at a several-year process. They're scoring those projects this week, I think. Again, we have a good chance of getting good news on these projects because they were included in the Coastal Resiliency Master Plan. But again, it's a multi-year process using these type funds.
All they want to do is let's get expecting we don't have any resistance at all in the storm. on that area, so we're likely gonna lose significant portion of the storm. Our base system.
Yeah.
You're looking at millions of dollars, which I guess they were.
Already, we're gonna look short, I brought that up at the last meeting, of the function material and labor. No, it's a generous plan, but it's only gonna go so far, and we'll have to figure out the rest of it,
On what?
and that shoreline. It's been in the process for so long, and I don't know that.
The original shoreline grant is not gonna pay for everything. But by the time it gets done, the inflation will.
That's what we another year.
Well, like I said, I've got $9.1 million. Of course, I don't want to, I'm not going to use all that because I got to use half of it has to be used in low to moderate income area. Half of that money I'm planning on using for drainage project off of Half League Road. So yeah, right now I say estimate 300. It'll, you know, who knows what it would be on top of that. Now, as far as the articulated map, the Kepler project, I mean, yeah, we're trying to anticipate, you know, increase in costs in the application. Yeah, that,
I think they were talking about the living shoreline. maybe.
That's what you're talking about, Alex, the
I'm
living
not-
shoreline project?
No.
it's the articulated map.
Mike's concerned we're gonna lose that peninsula, there's storm and, you know. there's got-
Oh, you mean on the side, the small peninsula,
And that's gonna be. short.
right?
And then the living shoreline, that's even gonna be huge shore, huge shore. Which two different items here, but.
I'm thinking on the inside.
You know, that's what I'm saying, the max, and that's not,
All we gotta do is throw that garbage in. This is to show up, this is to show up. They won't get us in the park.
we're in the process of doing it, it's just simply the grants are slow and moving.
I mean, like I said, keep,
Necessary-
you know, as I send this status report to them, if for some reason they say, oh, no, you got to do it now. I mean, we'll just have to find $300-some thousand and go ahead and do it. But
The reason I'm concerned is I'm reading the kind of Houston projecting with July, and all of a sudden they're making the worst we've had. in Who knows when. I mean, that storm creation. That's a July. Deal, so all I'm saying, we gotta get, I don't know how to get ready, we're not gonna be ready. No. City's not gonna be ready, we're going, you know, we get one out.
Do what we can, and
I'm gonna let
we're not finding dealers into our, oh, what's the word, I'm sorry. Well, we borrowed some money.
Yes.
And we're 5 years, and we got 4 more years to be able to clear that out. We may be looking at having to do something like that again. Yeah, get some outside funding, some bonds. We issued a bond, there's very, I couldn't find it. It was just a lot of money. Boggled my mind. Thank you, Michelle. Move on to, agenda item B. CRG Limited Phase, Environmental Assessment of Harbor Refuge, 16, 17, and 17.
in your packet, I giving you, this is a copy of the correspondence tracking for this project with TCQ. So you can see how long we've been dealing with this. The latest response we had sent them, I guess it's been in November, and their due date to us was John's on it. Their due date to us, I think it was 6/8, yes, what he's 6/8 of 23, but he still hasn't heard anything. No, I'm sorry. We submitted our last response or response to them was February 7th of 2023 in a response for their request for information, which was in November. And their deadline for responding back to us was June 8th. but we have not received anything. John was going to reach out and again, and see if that he could get a response. And I have not gotten anything from him this morning, so I can assume he did not. So we're just waiting on TCQ to let us know whether we've done everything right and they're ready to wrap this up, or if there's something else they need.
Let's move on to agenda item number 6. You see Barbara Madison's operational promotion development activity report. Okay, start with the city harbor, follow nautical landing building, nautical marina, Smith Harbor and Hollywood Refuge.
Well, we have received the letter from Curtis on May 22nd. That's about that second lease option. And then I had some inquiring about the track 9 and 9A from Bluefield Pipeline Company. I believe they're interested in it. We're expecting short term, 3 months or something. They're doing some kind of pipeline work.
They need a layout on it.
I think so, yes, sir. And then on number 3, that track 7, 8, and 11, which is part of the old Evans site there. We had 2 different proposals on that. We had the Texas Coastal Fisheries Cooperative, and then we had the proposal back from
What?
we call it Evans on the Water, wacky place. That was the guy that was wanting to put the fishing tackle and that type of stuff in. The proposal from, it's in the packet here somewhere. But basically the proposal from the coastal fishery was they're proposing $3,700 a month for 1 year. For that property. And then the other guy, he's got a big breakdown. He'll have to look at it, $500 a month for, first few months or something. And then
it goes up to maybe $800. It's
Yeah.
That looked at their proposal and it fits in what as you understand, the Port Commission forward. Would that be your recommendation?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion that we accept the 1 year lease. Some for 1 year lease.
So move.
I have a motion and a second to accept Texas Coastal Fisheries Cooperative proposal. Second by Ms. Sue, motion made by Larry Nichols. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No nays, motion carries. Let's present that to council for signature.
Okay, Nautical Landings Building.
Wait. What is his Ames Company?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna skip one here again. Sorry about that. Yeah, I hadn't heard back from him, but he's trying to schedule, get us on his schedule to get down here and run those, storm drains. So,
Let's look up into the cover.
yes, sir. And it was like 4,000, his proposal was 4,000 a day. And they figured they'd be down here 2 days with the project, but part of the project, something else that Wayne at Public Works, Wayne Schaefer, that he wanted them to run while they were down here. So it'd be like $4,000 charge to the Port Commission.
It's a drains in the city,
Well, you're probably right.
should be charged. It's a city's responsibility to protect those drains.
Yeah.
This is-
But we did reach out to Texas Pride. They were 40 something thousand.
Yeah.
It was way up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was way up there. When I saw that number, I was shocked.
You'd be able to do cover for that.
Yeah. So.
And they're just gonna inspect the inside of this cover.
What,
Yeah.
we understand this
Yeah.
thing, it's a little
It's a TV
thing,
camera.
it tracks around, but then it sprays the pipe out as it goes or something.
No, all they're doing is an inspection, right?
Yeah, but he told me that it kind of cleans everything out as it goes. so this
Oh, I
thing
think
won't
that
tip over and all this. kind of
It's a
stuff.
cleaning. Yeah, it's not gonna, if it finds something, it's not gonna repair it.
Yeah,
no,
it just
that-
kind of sprays water or something
So
to
we
kind
can
of
see
wash
what-
everything down.
Right.
This
So
is
I,
the AIM company or the $45,000?
No,
No.
that is coming.
Ames.
Ames coming.
So I mean, ideally, hopefully this will identify something.
Okay.
It is possible we could do this and we still don't know what's coming, what's happening. I mean, I've run into that before, inspect something that doesn't show what's wrong
There's water and oil coming in that. stuff.
Somewhere. from somewhere, right?
And they will certainly find, do we need to advise the GLO or do we need to set up a berm or a?
No,
Not for the inspection, but
matter of fact, they're the ones that kind of,
they're in the loop.
They want to be on site, let's create a barrier just in case.
well, they're like, still, boom is still down. You remember I put that boom out down there here a month ago.
The boom's still there?
Yeah.
I was there the other day, didn't notice it. Okay.
It is there, it's still there.
Okay.
It's still there.
Move on to agenda item B, nautical landing building.
Okay, on June 12th, they started the work on electrical service. And they've been kind of in and out working on that for the last week or so. So hopefully they'll get that all done real soon, because I know they can get, of course, as soon as they get that, they're gonna have to come back and repair all the rotten wood and things of that nature too. So.
That was all in the scope. of the
Oh, yeah,
bid.
yeah, it's all part, yeah. And they still have to move it. Yeah, they still gotta move their conditioners over on that other area that they built as well, so.
Agenda item C, nautical landing marina.
Okay, well, the Estes boat is still sitting on the bottom. I have not had time to fool with that. Hopefully here the next week or two, we'll get that taken care of.
You can bring it out.
Huh?
Old boom or something to get it out.
No, I think we'd probably just put some, we're not gonna use the airbags, but we'll probably take some big tractor and do and float it up, put a pump on it. The abandoned boat, I plan on dragging that out of there when I get this Estes boat up. Still not real sure where I'm gonna put them, but we're gonna go to Refuge Harbor with them and drag them up on the bank and just get them disposed of, So. The Horizon Environmental Group, they've been there 13 times since the last meeting. And of course, Smith Harbor, we have not started the dredge spool project yet. I'm not sure, they've been busy on something else, so we haven't started it.
On that Smith Harbor, where are we on providing the post for?
Those should be here within the next week or so, I would think.
After a year and a half of being at that little horseshoe at track 9 at City Harbor. He needs his post. He said that the boat slamming against that concrete or getting damaged.
Well, that's been all his, that's been up to him. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not, hadn't been on us.
And I
Yeah.
mentioned the fact that we do need.
Yeah. So the posts, I think, were $1,300 or $1,400 or something, I think.
Yeah.
So there's 5 of them, that's what there is coming, so.
It has been brought to my attention that council and the planning board have done some work with our easement down there at Smith Harbor. What do you know, or Miss Jody?
Done some work.
My understanding is the city has approved construction at those lots that have the concrete pad.
The conceptual plan was approved, yeah.
I'm sorry?
The conceptual plan was approved, yes.
What's it?
There is it's a multi or mixed use development for a restaurant on the first floor and a residence on the second floor. There's the easement was dedicated by the previous landowner. So we haven't, the city has an easement across their property in the back.
So in other words, the council, okay, they can start on the construction.
If they get permitting, I mean, I think, have they submitted plans, everything?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they have to go through the permitting process, yeah.
The easement is, it's in the deeds. Their deeds.
I mean, nobody's constructing anything on the easement. I'm not sure what the question is.
Parking or anything. The easement said no parking.
Yes, there's no parking within the easement. There's no parking within the easement.
Their access to salt water, they were.
There's been no access granted to saltwater.
You know, those items, you know, we've been adamant about as a Port Commission. I don't know if you were part of it or Larry, the newer members. But we were adamant it would keep people off the easement. It's an egress and stuff. And then
Right, there's no parking on the easement.
into the salt water.
And there's been no easement given, there has been no easement requested or granted access to saltwater at this
Mr.
point.
Lynch did ask, and he will be visiting with you, Jim. He may want to put some of his folks back up and lease that one place where it used to be on where our easement is. And that you'll have to visit with him and then bring it back to us,
Yeah.
approvals and all that. The reason I brought that up is, we were not advised by the planning board that this was going on. And it went to the city council without us being involved. And that is quote unquote under our purview.
My understanding is the cottage lots are not, that was under economic development, not under the Port Commission. That's what I was understood when those lots were purchased.
That's not accurate.
Okay, then I cannot find the minutes that state that. And I've spoken to the council members, and that's the understanding. I tried to get a directive like 3 years ago, and at that time I was told it was stay with economic development when those lots were purchased. Because I mean, when you think about it, it doesn't have anything to do with the water. They're lots on Commerce Street.
It was the Port Commission's initiative to go after.
That could be. That could be, but I have not found the minutes where council's given that instruction. I will check back with the mayor. But I don't, my information, that is not, I have been told that was economic development.
It was done a closed session, with the Port Commission, the negotiation was. And we got the price down significantly, and then also, and the city and council approved the purchase. So they want to take it over, that's fine, let them have it.
Well, I mean, my understanding is that was given to economic development.
Authorities and purviews of usurped. And that was the reason I bring that up. We were not involved or included in the process. Yes.
I think I have, is it on my right off there?
Yes.
So I was making sure I was thinking right.
But again, I mean, if people are doing, we can't prevent somebody from developing their property that they own as long as they're complying with all the laws and ordinances of this land. And that's where we're at.
I wanted to be made aware of those issues or things that are going on that affect the Port Commission and our adjacent properties. That's all.
Yeah, we don't want them to get true. We're gonna discuss some.
Okay, well, are you requesting that I give you an agenda for planning board members as well? I mean, again, they're public records. Anybody can, nothing's a secret.
Walked away from significant dollars.
Right, that was a totally different situation.
Because we got stuck.
I don't,
I mean, let's go back and look at the record, so you'll find that they didn't pay the rent.
they own this piece of property. I'm sorry. They own this piece of property. They're not renting it from us. They purchased the piece of property. Yeah, I don't know that, like I said, this is the United States. People can own property and develop it.
Did everything you could, as I understand, you tried to trade properties with them, and what is?
This was like a couple years ago, where there were options, we looked at different things, and yeah, but none of that panned out.
I visited with Mr. Thorne in the beginning and wanted him to pick up the lots at the other end in Austin. But they were insisting on staying over here.
Mhm.
The other property would have been, well, it is where it is. Just wanted to.
But, and again, the development is consistent with the downtown waterfront master plan that Port Commission, was involved with. And council has just, still got one more public hearing. It will be approved in July.
Okay, so they have sort of the back of that thing.
Yes, there is a retaining wall on the backside.
There's a big wash on that one side though. Big wash.
Special engineer certification on that.
Victor Frederickson, yes. Yeah. Victor's doing all the engineering for them. Yeah, there's,
I think it's a shame the city doesn't own all that property there, so something can be done without them being right here.
Eventually, they can come to buy it.
Excuse me?
Eventually, they get out there to buy that. We stand ready for the city to buy that.
There is something happening next to that property. Y'all's old place is being decorated and painted and.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be bean and vine, it's
the tipsy bean.
Place or something.
in there.
It's gonna be a coffee shop / wine shop.
Yeah.
Bean and vine.
Oh, you know what?
Where you go in, you get your coffee and you take your.
Shouldn't move, I could wake up and go to sleep.
I'm sitting on the street.
All right, Jim, Margaret Refuge agenda item E.
LCI, of course, they're still bringing in field guard. I've talked to Gonzalez about, leveling what we have there currently. I don't know when we'll get that done, but we need to try to get that done fairly quick. It's the dry season.
Yeah,
I think
don't make it in concrete from Lester.
we didn't want to, but we are. One of the things that I'm kind of dragging my feet on, and I think maybe
When
we,
they keep dropping it there, well. While we're talking about Harbor Refuge, I was gonna say this to the end, Alex, but. Why can't we use that concrete riprap to shore up the south end of the Harbor Refuge?
I guess
I'm
we
good
could.
with where we do it.
But, I mean, it's not approved, Car property.
Areas, coordination areas.
not unless we're out there in submerged property.
They from the up and
Only if you're working on their property, and I would advise that we take a hard look at using some concrete right there in that low spot, or we're gonna have a hole in Harbor Refuge.
Oh, you're talking about
Which-
over
which-
there on the- you're
which-
talking about over there.
What's out then though?
Yeah, where they did that,
where?
he's talking about over there where all that restoration project
Yeah.
was.
Okay, south of that?
Yes, aren't you, Randy?
That whole area is almost grease.
Yeah.
And I'll promise you, when we have a tropical storm, when we get a 8-foot tide, there's gonna be a hole in it.
That's.
Are you talking about in the backside of the constructed wetlands area or the man-made wetlands area? Or are you talking about south of,
Yes.
I guess just show me where you're talking about, but yeah, we can,
In between that wetland and Chocolate Bay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
That
Yeah.
should have never happened, but it's there now.
I mean, that's one of the projects we've got in the
Exactly.
Kemper, but yeah, you're right. We probably
This
something that,
surplus concrete. We ought to be putting it there to block that area and shore it up. That's my opinion.
okay.
We got, and we're getting it for free. And as far as it being wetlands, I'm not sure about that.
we'd have to stay above. I mean, yeah, I have to look at that and see.
Yeah.
I don't know that this is the, I don't know that we can get down. And we may have to put it on some kind of a work barge or something. I don't know that we get a truck.
That's all right. I'll tell you what, you'll be surprised what you can do with the dozer.
Yeah.
If they'll just dump it off. Baker's fixing to do some more at my house. You want to look, come see how it's done. He just pushes it down and you can push it out as far as you want to.
But I don't know if we can get to that.
It's not
spot.
very stable. That's the problem. It's one of those things that looks good. Once you get on it, it starts pumping. Next thing you know,
Yeah, no, you've gotta put some concrete there and work on top of that, put some more work on top of that. It's,
I have a lot of concrete. I think Philip has fired up his concrete plant again, so it gives us two good options.
I'm just seeing that.
Okay, well, we can get with Matt and look
Agenda
at
item
that.
2, 1 for grading, cleaning and moving equipment.
they're cleaning and moving. I talked to Mark Slider. He told me he feels like they're gonna be out of there by the end of the month. Whether that happens or not, there's a lot of cleanup, but there's still a lot there.
There was a lot left abandoned.
Of course, we, in number 3, we had talked about that task force number 32 being approved at the past council meeting last week.
What does that involve, Jim?
That involves all the engineering, that's gonna be
The
that is
engineering
project for
project.
the drain pipes under the
That is
road.
the total project or just the engineering?
That's the engine. Well, we have to bid the project
He's gotta put it
to,
together.
bid it. Yeah.
Like $250,000.
No, I mean, it's gonna be more than that. I mean, by the time, because we're gonna have to put end walls in and, yeah.
Let me ask you a question. What is the schedule?
Well, we've been pushing that as hard
As-
as we can.
I mean, we're trying to see if we can get it. They have been out there, done the site survey. I told him I wanted to try to target us to be able to award contract at a special meeting in August. But I don't, well, that's what we're
So
pushing
gonna
for.
make their delivery schedule.
The- I don't think there's any way. I haven't talked to them yet.
They
No.
will not be allowed.
Yeah, we've got a, well, by that time it'll be torn up. Because I mean, yeah, we have started, it just won't be completely done by that time.
Well, we're not. Like,
There- no. There won't be any, like I said, nobody's gonna be coming till,
If we make it and schedule maybe.
yeah, I mean,
They're gonna be moving their fertilizer.
well, I was waiting to try to get a little bit, Matt's, I don't hear it, give him a little more time to come up and give me a realistic schedule. But I mean, if we can award it to the end of August, September, I mean, it would be tight, to get in there and get it done. I don't know. Let's give him a little bit more time, give me some good information.
For our tenants, we started talking, they're not gonna be able to get their fertilizer in there. Maybe.
Yes, I'll,
The first of the year.
yeah, I will
And
talk to him.
It's 8 trucks per rail car, and it's 10 rail cars, but 80 truckloads to get in there. I don't think they're gonna be too happy about any of that.
They don't say it's gonna take that long. This will take longer than we'll fix it.
Yeah.
Figuring out.
Oh,
what they're gonna do.
yeah.
Wait a minute.
Just, it's not that schedule, so they're good.
I mean, if they got into it. I'd say 7, 8, we had recommendations. Right?
Okay, yeah, that's the way really works.
You know, James.
Yeah,
They can be done. You can write it down.
Agenda item 4.
Okay, well, as we talked in the previous meeting, as soon as we get Encore out of there, we'll try to get on that aerial spraying. One of the other things that was kind of brought to my attention is, Russell's dealing with the property down in South Virginia, the old Quay property. And anyway, those guys are looking to do like a lease purchase on that property, so.
Those people who-
Well, well, what we're wondering, I mean, do we want to, because there's nothing specific on the agenda, would Port Commission be interested in having, scheduling a special meeting where we can look at options if we have interest in trying to purchase that ourselves?
I was told by somebody that knows that the bank doesn't own that property.
doesn't belong.
Sir,
I guess something.
well, I heard it belongs to, I got the guy's name on my desk in the office that.
I think that's the banker. He's a private banker.
Okay. Okay.
If they, you know, again, just if you can get some information about what they want to get the property. You know,
Well, we do, but I mean, we would want to probably discuss that in closed session. Which we don't have anything on the agenda right now, but we could set us, if we have interest, we could set a special meeting.
I
And
understand the council's desires to own everything on the waterfront thing that's hands on. So that has about $1,000 waterfront.
It's a matter of doing the math. If Encore is going to.
well, I mean, if that's something, I mean, we can, if Port Commission has interest in recommending the council pursue it, then that may be all I need, you know.
Again, it's dependent on Encore willing to lease the property. It's not, in my opinion, not anybody else. It's not worth what you ask. You're on 100,000 an acre in booming Port Lavaca. That's worth a 10,000 by a couple of dollars. It's really not worth it unless Encore is guaranteeing a 30-year lease. Then yeah, if they'll cover that cost, surely. But then you're gonna own it and be hamstrung for 30 years. So that's the downside.
We're talking about the way.
Next door.
Yeah,
You know, my property.
18 acres out there, 100,000 an acre.
They also don't have water access there again.
20.
28.
Ballpark. That's 2 million. Ballpark. Property has been improved because he put on thousands and thousands of yards of material, road material on that property. So if you go in there, you can lay down. So that we wait. Not hurt, it's part and they actually not slow. It's not said. If I got that deep road material. all over. So it's a nice piece of property. It's just the $2 million.
You're talking about $20,000 a month.
So if it came in, if they're one bank for
That's what I'm saying.
they're running, then it becomes, you know, finance and everything else. Makes it, good news.
So I hate to say this because you live right next to it,
Yes,
but
it's commercial on catering.
that would be a wonderful addition to the Harbor Refuge real
Oh,
estate.
yeah.
And that's a very short bridge from that place to the Kingfisher Channel.
I think it's 6 of the cross.
Yeah.
He paid 1.2 million for it. Now it's worth 2 million, about 3 years later.
That's what you made.
That may be the ask.
But
Well, I don't know. I think it's on the tinkering. You know, I think the officer who's a private banker. He's business to make money. He wants to 25-40% yield. That's he's done very well. But $2 million, we better have somebody lined up to pay for $20,000.
Yeah.
That's really what I don't think Encore, whoever it is looking at now, it's only a 1 year.
I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of,
Not heard about it.
yeah, that's just been kind of hearsay. I don't know. Until-
did the city just, I'm just thinking out loud, or could the city put an option on that property and start some discussions with Encore?
Well, it's gonna be the principal to be the folks up in Tennessee and the bank of the hours.
Fair amount.
I think it's beyond that.
It's a.
Well, you know, we talked about going and voting the owner. City, I talked about very four times. Well, the interest. We're doing it. I don't think it's gonna be a problem. I was 4 years ago, I'm 30 seconds.
If we have a little key on the bottom of, you know.
Oh,
page,
Well, we put Raymond's list,
We
it's,
have Raymond's list. We're gonna make him an agenda item in the future.
We're gonna put it at the top of it.
You do it before we do it right after you.
Thank you so much for putting this in here. Getting ready to apologize to y'all for that. Thank you.
You're connected. I Raymond.
Sometimes.
I just kind of got some stuff checked off, you know, it's like number 3, you know, we're working on that pretty hard. The railroad stuff, of course, the council approved that task order 32, and then number 7. That vote is gone. The silver book, so,
Did somebody take it?
yeah, it's gone. Yeah.
Oh,
Only,
that bridge property values, we had. Let's meeting about trying to validate those.
Now what?
validate them.
Yeah, and we were looking at some of the boat slips and stuff. Yeah.
Do we need a meeting with Outbridge?
Well, that's what I would suggest is that we need to get some specifics on things that we may be either uncomfortable with or additional information that we're looking for. And, you know, maybe identify a committee that then we can go meet with them. Yeah.
Because they had taken that, you know, we came to me and I went out and kind of researched it some, and we took the numbers that I gave them and put in that report. In
I think we need
one of the reports,
Get them to certify one. Got solid numbers.
We could still interface with the guy in Rockport again, because they face the same issue. They were up in the factor of 5 to 10 over their current values. But you remember, they raised the rates, then there's the same. And attracted an national tenant as well, so.
I mean, I can go over this, what I have, if y'all want to hear it.
We're not. That's improving.
Yeah, maybe at some point, they got 300,000 people right
Well,
next
we
door.
do.
So, you know, we're at $3.30 a linear foot, Cedrus at $2.50. Flashes is at $4. Rockport, you know, they're at that 185 a month up to 25 feet plus $5 for every foot greater than that 25. And that goes up $3. And that, you know, and then of course I did a little bit, Jody had mentioned something to me yesterday about barge fleeting rates. Who is this one?
That's Maxwell County
Oh, you got it from. Okay.
navigation.
And I talked to a friend of mine in Corpus that's he's got a couple of fleets in Inner Harbor and Corpus Christi. And he's, you know, from 0 to 200 foot, they're at 240 a day. 201 up to 300, 296 a day. Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like 3 years ago, $150 a day for 300-foot barge. That was
Everybody had those great.
going race, man.
And he said he's kind of got his hands tied with those numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
the Corpus Harbor pretty much.
Right. Well, Port Victoria's gonna leave it there too. Sure, probably pretty close. That's the barges.
So, yeah, we probably need to look at our.
Yeah, we were just thinking we need, what I told Jim is I think we need a rate for a certain length of barge, whatever's normal. And then an additional rate, anything above, because, you know, we're stuck right now. We're getting $200 a day and we're using up that entire dock. We can't get any more than $200 a day for.
This is the topic for some other discussion, but we could even open the barge fleet in the harbor refuge. Down there by the corner. There's a 200-foot barge and then there's a 300. Those are the two most common. For those kinds of rates, Jimbo, we could offer to fleet some barges in the harbor refuge.
You got room to do that?
Yeah, we got room for a few down there. Yeah. Well, maybe we don't. Encore's leasing that 11, that type of 11. But anytime they're in our harbor, that's what we're forfeiting.
See, they're paying, Gulfmar's paying $200 every time they, and, you know, can use that, because that dock is not part of their lease.
Right.
At the public dock, yeah.
We could consider modifying that too. Okay,
Let's bring in one barge and whack the rack.
Typically, yeah.
yeah, sometimes they bring two.
It's pretty tight getting in there with two, you know, it's,
The other big one.
of course, it, you know,
Good per life. Sorry, I'm saying two per life.
see, they're a little short, they're 100 foot short than those, tank, yeah. And then, of course, you know, Encore still got stuff on what track 17, but, you know, they have that peninsula lease, but the problem is they can't even use the inner side of it because all that pipeline from the bridge. So.
Yeah, what is the status of getting that out? We're,
they're
that,
trying to
that's
sell-
time,
They're trying to slow that.
they're
bridge.
tying with the, it's tied with the bridge, right?
Tied with the bridge, yes.
Who's does that belong to?
The pipe, that's part of that bridge, that Bechtel Bridge.
Does Jasper have any interest in that pipeline? All those pipes, does that belong to that?
That goes, that does belong to that bridge, yes. And he had told me they're trying to get rid of it.
So we're not charging for land up there
Well, they're paying $200 a day.
for the dredge.
For the dredge.
That's extremely low, based on what you just said.
But it can't certainly allow them to put all in that line, I'd lock his place. That was find out, spray it.
Well, they're not real happy about it, you know, I mean, they,
And yeah, it's gone on a whole lot longer than we were led it was to believe it would be.
you're probably.
Rather than linear foot.
Well, that might be something we need to go back and say, hey, this thing's going on longer than you anticipated, you're gonna have to start paying, you know, that might be something we need to do. So.
We have a motion that we have staff send them a letter.
Well, I mean, we got to think about this because, I mean, Encore is leasing the property. So if we're, you know, is that something, you know, Encore gets paid for that inconvenience or we pull that out of their lease?
Water. Double park over here at the city of Orange.
But I mean, I don't,
I move that we identify the owner of that pipeline.
Yeah.
Notice that we're gonna start charging them if it's not removed.
as if it were a barge. I guess the barge rate, the $200 for that too, because they're using up barge parking
The
space,
pipe,
I guess.
the pipe does belong, you know, because the dredge is like, there's like 3 owners of it. Okay, so what is the one group Munson? Is it Manson or Munson?
Manson,
Manson, okay, that pipe belongs to Manson, but it ties back to that bridge.
okay.
And it's all in the, it's all in the water.
Let's get Anne Marie to help us, but we should identify who's responsible for it, send them a notice, and we're gonna start charging.
See, Encore went down, Encore did, I mean, because that stuff was floating, I mean, it was breaking loose, floating everywhere.
But it's in the water, not on the land. Oh, okay.
Staff, you got whoever sees from send the letter, all 3 of them. Yeah, they send a letter about October. And say, hey, starting October 1st or June 1st, whatever you decide.
Encore went out there,
Bar rates.
Yeah,
bar
see,
rates.
they went out and fished it all, pulled it all in, set anchors, and got it all tied up with cables.
It shouldn't be on the board's responsibility.
I so moved.
Okay.
We have a motion that staff send a letter to.
I mean, $200 a day, right?
Well, no, it's a whole, it takes a whole peninsula.
I know, but from, on what are we basing it on? We can base the $200 a day, like the barge.
Okay,
Is that
that's
right?
That's what's in that schedule. Yeah, we need to,
What,
300 $33 and 30.
There you go. There you go.
They've been.
But that's not a dock.
So it doesn't matter.
I don't know that we can call that a dock.
$3 and 30 cents a foot times 100 is what? $330 a day.
For each 100-foot section.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll look into that. I don't know.
Every year and a half. You still get some dialogue.
I'm gonna put that on my reminder list.
Please do.
Well, we're just gonna leave you on the bottom of my deal, man, so you can look at your report.
Thank you.
So you don't forget, you don't get lost in the shuffle.
Did you, well, let's move on. Agenda item number 7, comments from commissioner. Mr. Nichols?
I just think that we need to make sure urban engineering is showing some hustle about that drain. Because it sounds to me like if the project done, it could be done in time, not it's just rough and custom, but urban, that fixes all.
Yeah, we've been pushing them. Yes.
I've done work with them before, they can be quick, or they can not be quick. Agree. What is it?
Ms. Sue? James?
I agree with Larry.
Yeah, we need to be initiative moving that forward. Michael?
That they found Thurston now was the closest of anybody in this town to that. Under overpass, there will not be another train on. If there is a train, there will be consequences for the provinces.
We agreed on that last meeting. didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go put time up.
Demonstrations go by, and then for November, and it still hasn't done anything. They pull a train on it.
Did we agree to track out the Sherman train?
Or we agree to it.
No, I thought we said that if we shut it down, it's never coming back.
Yes.
Which might be good for you, but it's not good.
It's just, we're not going to train for personal time.
It's been reviewed several times, and it's still, there's been no erosion or no change on the culvert and the track, so that's a good thing. Your turn.
I got one. Okay. Matagorda Tip Tail Improvement Project. That is getting a lot of attention lately. Because of the new or second, whatever you call it, environmental impact study. Before we'll officially begin that, July the 2nd, and they're ceasing to take comments on that day. That's a Sunday. So, the Lavaca Bay Foundation has put together a list of comments for that project. And one of them, to comply with the board's objective of using 70% of the material out of the channel for beneficial use. That's their target. They really want to have that happen. I don't know how badly they want it to happen, but it's our feeling that project, we're going to put material anywhere in this bay that's to be confined. And I sent Jody a copy of the presentation, and there's 50 slides that support every one of the points that we want to make with the core. One of the major ones is supplying beneficial use material for shoring up the harbor of refuge and replacing 11 acres that have been eroded out of a total of 17. But we've got about 7 acres left over there. That is a critical project, and it's safety related. If we lose that, then we've lost a refuge spot for vessels during the hurricane. Plus, we've also lost it for what's going to be a significant income generator for the city of Port Lavaca. And what we're advocating for is pump material on that outside shore and confine it so it doesn't spread.
It means rip wrap and all that.
Rip wrap, hard surface, articulated concrete pad. It means a hardened structure that keeps that material from spreading. A very dramatic slide. If you want to look at Google Earth, go look at Google Earth in 1990 and look at 2022 and look over by the E.S. Johnson plant. in the earliest Google Earth photo shows nothing over there but the original isthmus that was built from turning basin material back in the 70s when they bridged. That's all you'll see. After about 1985 on, you'll see that begin to grow because they've been dumping the maintenance dredging material, which is like silt, very fluid. They dump it on the outside of that isthmus, the south side of it, just openly dump it. And there's probably been close to 100 acres created when they dump it, and it just keeps spreading. It keeps spreading. The difference that you'll see is pretty dramatic. How much land is over there now. So that's another area that we're advocating. Confine it. It's already messed up bay bottom. There's pumps there too. The idea is to try to pump material where we need it, erosion damage to critical structures, or we put it on bay bottom that's already been damaged and contaminated, and we can't.
That's supposed to be completed in 2024.
They have about two, realistically speaking, the EIS is going to be completed in 24 months.
2 years.
2 years.
So we're looking at 5 years before that. Happens.
We are. And
If we're lucky.
yeah, if we're lucky, and who knows what it's going to look like by the time these 2 years go by. But then another issue is the Matterhorn jetties that needs to be fixed, and those jetties are eroding like crazy. And they already fixed it once, and it's right back again where it was. See that on your doors too. It's very important that thing be fixed before we open and increase the channel flow through that.
Yeah, I've had a comment from the manager concerning about this very issue. He said they will shut down immediately, lay off every single person on this thing. All the contractors will be stopped. It will be the biggest mess for the county, for us.
If that
If
channel flow,
that channel goes. And of course, they'll get an emergency after, but it will shut the plant down, but they haven't had that. Arguing the part, so what is the big ships coming in?
Yeah.
And he's concerned about it. It's such a
long
big-
story short, folks I've worked with for 20 years, all across the building. And I have seen them mess up serious projects. New Orleans floodgate is one, the Matterhorn Bay, Colorado River Diversion Project is another one that turned out exactly the way they wanted to. This one is going to head the same way if we don't do something.
You need something from us to say.
That would be wonderful if the city of Port Lavaca would at least support what we're doing. Port Commission also helpful. We're not against the project, especially me with the background I have in my father running the first ship in. My connection with that channel are pretty deep. I wanted to happen. If we're gonna do it, let's do it right. Let's don't commit the same sin we did when we built it in 1965. First ship that came through their grounding for a week. They had the light loaded to get it out. And I just want to see the thing done properly for the long term. Houston's doing it. We're gonna use them in our PowerPoint as an example of what we should be doing. It's nothing out of that hasn't already been done. It's not being seen as state of the art now. But I think what happened the first go around was everybody was in a rush. Let's get it going, hurry up, make for it. We didn't give us time to start coming in. It was not sounding properly. And they would not take any input after their deadline. So I want to share that with y'all, but especially if y'all the Harbor Refuge. We certainly don't want to get in the way of the grant project that you have going.
Well, I think, I mean, how that, how the Kepler application is fashioned right now, it's not adding back what we've lost. It's stabilizing and keeping from. But I mean, assuming this project moves forward, then GLO takes over, right? And of course, they'd still have to get a core permit and everything. So I mean, at that point, if the Corps was in favor of adding all that, I think that would just be a matter of reflecting that in the permit at the time,
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
The idea is to build all of that acreage back in farmland. So it doesn't erode again.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, specifically, the project right now is a living shoreline all along that to protect it. But I mean,
I'm trying to get a meeting right now for, I haven't done it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If the city, the Port Commission #1
What's the chairman, he can write the letter.
is in favor of what we want to do.
Can't vote.
Yeah. And we have to be careful with our point with anyone. Do it, then we do fine. Do well. Good program. July 2nd is closing day. It's closed.
Cody, would you have permission to sign a letter after the city or something like that?
I've got to look at what all, I mean, the city submitted a letter of support of the project. We have to look and see exactly how much more detail would be involved. Yeah.
And like that. I think that those resolutions of support could come after the deadline.
Like I said, I mean, city council has already adopted a resolution to support the project, but it wasn't a lot of detail. It was like, it was pretty generic, so.
This is a critical change in the original thought process, just because of the need to pump material longer distances to get it to a spot, and then the hard armor it so that it's confined.
Yeah.
parts.
It is a significant increase cost of 50%. For the one that wants to take it.
Right, so it's gonna be a hard hill to climb. But I think if we do anything less than that, we're gonna take more in the future.
The bay is already so shallow and filled in with sand and sediment from the channels and time. That anything that we do negatively impact this exacerbates the situation.
But, after tell how many times we have redredged and redredged and redredged the same material, because it's never been confined. And all the original placement areas are gone, you can't see them. That means that stuff went somewhere.
My turn, I've already made another comment, so I'll ask for a request for a motion to adjourn.
So
Larry moved, second one, Michael McGuire. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
y'all have a
nays?
good day.
Ayes have it. We are, thank you for your time.